Welcome to Mr. Wilson Live. It is another Sunday evening, and we would have taken time out of our busy schedule to be here with me. And for that, I am most grateful. Let me again extend, I don't even know what word to use, but the emotion that is felt for those persons in St. Vincent who continue to suffer from that volcano. And for everyone who would have been feeling that negative impact of the COVID 19 pandemic, those persons who would have lost their jobs, those persons who would have had some ill as a result of the pandemic or the natural disaster, my heart is with you, and I do hope that all will be resolved soon. And those that cannot be resolved, we will find some way to cope. However, welcome to the show. I have not been with you for a while, and this is a part of the reality of life. Sometimes we have coffee, other times we will definitely be having tea. However, I did send out some past papers. I think I sent out 2021 and 2019, and I will continue to send out past paper until exams. You'll be seeing probably more past paper than Mr. Wilson. Another thing is that I think I need some more past papers, more so paper one. I have seen the many petitions. I have seen the many petitions. And if you want to just share the name of a petition that you know or a channel here, that is fine. One of the things is that I think that everyone should have a voice, right? So I have seen the 2021 CXC petition where persons are asking for the multiple choice paper only. And I think, I don't remember well, I think that one of the concern with the paper in 2020 is that after the exam, persons were saying that we wanted paper two. So I am not too sure where we're going with this. I won't say who is wrong or who is right. What I do think is that everyone should have a voice, and persons are always going to know what is better for he or she, whomever. Persons will always know the best thing for themselves. Now, I have seen the petition. I've seen one petition that 15,000 signatures needed, and it's like 13,500. I've seen another one. I've seen about three petitions, and these petition persons sent to me to ask me what's my view. In some cases, persons were spreading propaganda to say that CXC would have changed the exam and we only will be getting paper one. I did my checks of the CXC website and I have seen no such thing. I have seen no such thing. I think the last document I read, which probably was published on the 15th of April, it did not speak to the exams, anything changing. It was pretty much highlighting that which was said earlier in the handbook, so to speak. A publication that I did earlier, it was pretty much highlighting that. However, in that publication, CXC noted that they are open for dialogue. So with the petition and the dialogue, with the petition, I'm sure that some dialogue will come. So I can't say, I am not an employee of the CXC. I can't say whether CXC will change its position or not. Am I going to say whether CXC is fair or not? The truth is I don't even know. Because at the end of the day, it is going to be the consumer versus the supplier. I am not the supplier. I am not a consumer. I am on the side. So what I will say might not be the best thing because I am not feeling it from any end, so to speak, because I'm not a student and I am not the examining body. But I do assist students and I'd love to see the best for all our students. So if you think that doing a petition is the right thing, kudos to you. If you think that you shouldn't be doing a petition, kudos to you. But I will remind you that on the document that I saw on the 15th of April, it's on the CXC website, it did say that come the 10th, which when I check my calendar will be next week Monday, not tomorrow Monday, but next week Monday, they are going to be sending out the broad topics that you will be tested on. What they're saying in that document, I'll soon read what's there. What they're saying in that document is that they are going to be reducing probably the number of broad topics that you would have covered. They are going to tell us exactly how you should be prepared for paper two. But they said in the same document that you will be tested on paper one. It's the entire syllabus that will be tested on paper one. So be that you are getting paper one only, or you are getting paper one and paper two, it's very important that you know the entire syllabus. Or you are prepared for the exams as you would have been prepared. All right, let me see what's happening here. All right. You can read that for me? Good afternoon. Not too sure. Tanisha, what's that? Homo sapiens. Okay, cool. Cheryl, sir, did you send out the 2020 paper two? May, June, and 2019, 2018, May, June. All right, just pull 2018 today. I did pull the other part of 2019, but I don't know that there was a paper two for 2020. I think 2020 was the year that we did the paper one. I don't know if they had a paper two for January, but I don't have a copy of a paper two for 2020. So if somebody's out there and you would have one, if they did that exam, I'd be happy to look at it. But we need more multiple choice paper. We're not going to be backing off the multiple choice paper. I am going to continue to suggest to us, do as many multiple choice past paper as is possible. For those of us who are probably midway the syllabus, if you are with Mr. Wilson and Mr. Wilson Live, we are at section D, somewhere midway section D. We have not started section E yet, but we'll be starting section E soon. This is my advice to you all. When the paper two comes out, make sure that you are topping up on question 4, 5, and 6, because that is going to cover our section D and section E of the HSB syllabus. Many persons wouldn't have completed these as yet. So when you get that paper, for me, I am sending out my past papers in two. You get 1 to 3, and then you see another publication with 4 to 6. Make sure you are pretty much topping up on question 4 to 6, should in case you are not able to finish your syllabus wherever you are. All right? And of course, you know that you can go over to my website. If you need some help, you can send me a message or something. You know my website, versus the email address here. So when you look at the past paper, you will see TCP Academy, that there. That's the website. All right, so a lot said there. We spoke about the exam, we spoke about the petition, and we continue to talk about preparing for the exams. Let it not be said by any of the students that I am assisting that you are sitting down and you are waiting for a miracle. No, prepare for the exam. Success favors the prepare. Use whatever resource that you have available to become prepared for the exams. I try my best to be with you, but I'm not always going to be available. I have the government work to do here. I have family stuff, and sometimes I am just not available. But I do my best to be here with you. When the past papers come out, watch them, watch them, watch them. Go down into the description to see if I left a correction or a message or something. Look in the comment if I left something down there. Leave a comment when you watch a past paper. It was a good past paper. It was a bad past paper. Which past paper will you be doing next? Sir, I suggest that you do this past paper next. Sir, I think that this question could have been answered this way. I am open for discussion. At no point have I ever said that I am the keeper of knowledge. So I am always happy to entertain a discussion. My classroom is open. Anybody in the world can see what I do here. So if you have something to say it. I looked at a channel today and I realized that there was something like 2 billion views to the video and millions, 1.5 billion had subscribers to the channel. However, this channel still had thumbs down. And I am saying, but it doesn't matter how good you are on the internet. Somebody will not like what you do for one reason or the other. Or some person might just think otherwise. But for those persons who are going with us, who are following, leave it in the description, not in the chat here, in the description. After this video finish, sometimes it takes me a while before I get to this video. For 2013 paper 1, it basically covers the syllabus. If the first paper 1 I saw it extremely in depth. Is it the 2013 HSB Powell? Is it the 2013? I don't have 2013 HSB past paper. So if I have not done a multiple choice paper for HSB, it means that I don't have that paper. And if you want me to look at, for biology, I did send out 2013 biology. I have 2013 biology on the channel. HSB is the problem. HSB has a larger consumer. We don't have enough papers to treat with that. The papers that we have, you guys sent them to us and we're working on them. Like I said, I'll be sending out paper until exam. All right. But another thing I want to say before we hop into the lesson is that next week, Monday the 10th, CXC will be sending the broad topics to the Ministry of Education in the respective domains. I don't know how soon we are going to be seeing it. I don't know if it will be on the CXC website, but I will try my best as quickly as I have hold of it, or as quickly as you have hold of it, send it to me so we can start our preparation for exams. All right, so we are going to be changing how we do the live. Look at what is there. You have the multiple choice, keep practicing. And then for the paper two, we're going to look at some diagrams and so on. I'm going to be pitching in some stuff that you need to know. All right. Biology, sir, it's the May, June I saw you sent. All right. If you don't, if you have not, if what I send is what I have. So you can just send it to me and we will look at it and we will work it and post it. All right, Powell? Please do that for us. Send it to the email. You know how to find the email. Go in the back end, or somebody who knows the email can put it here. Sir, we'll send it to your email. Beautiful. Thank you very much. All right. So it has been a while. It looked like I put on a little weight here and there. Like I've been eating a little thing. I look like I get a little fat and something. I need help understanding the graphs. All right, beautiful. Touching the graph, I want to touch something on the graph. Graph is a big thing for HSB, and I like to tell persons that HSB is somewhat the baby subject, so to speak, for environmental science. The graph that I sent out on the 2019 paper, a bar chart, the bars are not supposed to be touching each other, right? You'll see the green and the blue bar touching. I think that is the case. They are supposed to be separated. That is the only thing, because when the bars are touching, it's a histogram, but it actually asks for a bar chart. So ensure that when you practice, the bars are not touching. One thing you can do to ensure that the bars are not touching is to reduce the width of the bar. So that, take it in a little smaller, and you could change your key and all of that, all right? Or you could turn the graph paper sideways and do the graph on that paper. So once you're from this family, I will always look at that. Okay, sir. Yes, sir. You look good. Whoa. I tell you. All right. So Martin, good afternoon all. Sorry, it's all right. Jawawan, all the past papers I have is May, June, no January. All right, just send them to us. I am going to be putting in a lot because I have my students at work. It's the first time I'm doing this ever, guys. You know that I became a vlogger only September of last year. So to be putting in all this past paper, I know I'm putting in my career on the line that most persons don't want to do. If I send wrong information out there, it could mean my career. But I mean, after so long, I think I am confident enough. I might have a little error here and there, but I am open for correction. And of course, I'm sure that we're doing well based on what I have seen so far. All right, we are 2,000 enough subscriber now. We have made 1,000 subscriber in a month, and it is looking good, but we really want to get to that number that we wanted to get to, that we spoke about. All right, so a lot said. I have spoken quite a while, a lengthy part. I did say to you in our last video, if I have not, the video that I released today, it will show you how to find some stuff. So there are some persons who are watching my live and you need to get some notes or script. Now, if you go below the video you are watching now on YouTube, to the right below the video, you will see three little dots. We call them ellipses. if you were supposed to click on those three little ellipses, what you will see is something that says open, what is it, transcript, open transcript. And once you click on the open transcript, you can click to the part of the video that you want to watch, and of course the notes for that part of the video. So as we speak now, I tend to read what you write there, and that is also captured in the notes, and you can write the notes as you would have it. All right. So the notes is there on YouTube. You don't need to worry. Just look below the video, and I will continue to do my little classes with YouTube because I realize that many persons can't use YouTube. Other than seeing a video on the screen and clicking on it, you don't know the powers of YouTube. I was brought up in a meeting for this YouTube stuff. And of course, one of the things is that persons wondered, how can I use YouTube to teach? And you would know, many persons would have known, and it is right there. I am not hiding, I'm here to stay. I'm going to be doing this for a long while. In Jamaica, it is cheaper to learn from YouTube than the designated software for a lot of schools, right? So I do the content here, I push them to school platform, but if the student is supposed to sign on to the YouTube channel and learn from the YouTube channel, then the cost for data is way, way cheaper, way, way cheaper. And that is the reason I am here for those persons who can't afford it and those persons who cannot access it. And I'll be here for some time to stay with your help. All right, that said, we're like 16 minutes and we're going to be looking at waterborne disease. All right, this doesn't mean that the disease and the water gave birth to this disease, but usually these diseases, they are associated with water. Now, when we talk about waterborne disease, it simply means that these diseases, they are caused by water that would have been infected by the pathogen. Water which is infected by the pathogen. And the pathogen here, I like to say pathogen or contaminants, right? While we're looking at organisms here in most cases as our pathogen, I cannot just leave you here. I must also say our contaminant, because when I remember the Minimata disease, which was, of course, as a result of mercury poisoning, if I were supposed to tell you this now, when you get to that point and you are looking at some of those disease, man-made disaster and so on, you might be having problems. So I like to say that waterborne diseases, these are caused by water infected by pathogen or other contaminants. All right, beautiful. Now, there are many types of waterborne diseases, many types. And I think that we need to pay close attention to those that we will cover today, because those that we will cover today are likely to be on your exam paper. More so, typhoid and cholera, which we are going to be looking at first. So the list of waterborne diseases that we want to look at today, they would include number 1, typhoid, 2, cholera, 3, gastroenteritis, 4, bacterial dysentery, and we're going to look at, I think, protozoic dysentery caused by a protozoa, I think so. And we're going to be looking at poliomyelitis. I mean, when I was a boy, I'll talk about that in a bit. We're also going to be looking at hookworm and one we call schistosomiasis, all right, which is, of course, caused by a flatworm. Now, some of the causative agents that we're going to be looking at today, we're going to be looking at the bacterium, we're going to be looking at worms, we're going to be looking at protozoa, right? So you remember when we spoke about pathogenic diseases, we spoke about 5 main ways in which these could move from one place to another. So we want to bear that in mind as we try to tie up all that we have learned moving forward. All right? Please be reminded, watch question 4 to 6 if you have not completed the syllabus as yet. All right, we're not going to be looking at these diseases in any particular order. So don't go and say, okay, I'm going to tick off typhoid first and then cholera, and that. We might not do that, all right? But what I want to start with is typhoid. And I want to introduce to this family a word that might be new to a lot of us. And the word is prophylaxis. Let me spell for you. Prophylaxis. prophylaxis. And what it means is pretty much treatment given or action taken to prevent a disease. You could just write that in the chat there for me, prophylaxis. So it's PROPHYLAXIS. And what it means is a treatment given or action taken to prevent a disease. That's a prophylaxis, all right? So I might use it, I might not use it throughout the lesson, but if I do or I don't, just be reminded that that's what it means. Now, typhoid is pretty much caused by a bacterium, all right? Singular, bacteria, plural. All right, so the bacteria, the name is the Salmonella typhi. Salmonella typhi. And how do we acquire this bacteria? How do we become contaminated, or how do we become affected by this bacteria? It is pretty much by drinking water infected or food contaminated by feces of an infected person. Most of the diseases that we're going to be looking at now, they have to do something with feces. With the exception of two, the housefly is the culprit. With the exception of two, the housefly is the culprit. Now, the mode of action. What happens when this bacterium gets inside of you? It is going to attack the walls of the intestine. Now, the walls of the intestine pretty much would start from the buccal cavity down to the anus, or one might say from the mouth down to the anus. So it's going to attack the walls of the intestine. Now, as it attacks the wall of the intestine, what is likely to happen is that the walls of the intestine will develop ulcer, or what you would call a sore, right? So they develop ulcer or a sore, and then it is also likely that the person will be affected by food poisoning. Now, if this condition is not remedied fast, then what is likely to happen is death. All right, I'm just reading what's over the chat here, so you could read in the chat as well. All right, so we will talk more about that as we go right along. All right, so while we talk about typhoid, and I'm seeing here that somebody is saying that I didn't know that typhoid was a waterborne, but remember, the bacterium with a fly is not really in water. But if the water become infected by that feces with that bacterium, then it become waterborne. However, if a fly were supposed to be on that medium, right, and carries that pathogen to the food you are eating, remember we said that it occurs by drinking contaminated water or contaminated food, then you would be exposed to the bacteria. All right, so we spoke about ulcer, food poisoning, and death that are all associated with typhoid. Another very important thing with typhoid to note is the incubation period, that is about 2 weeks. So the incubation period is about 2 weeks, after which you are going to start experiencing things like fever. You might have a rash, and of course, you will have severe diarrhea. You'll be having severe diarrhea. The individual might become weakened, or one might say the person becomes sick. So the person become weakened. You will have stomach pain or pain of the intestine as a result of the ulcer. And being that you're having diarrhea, you're also going to be dehydrated. So once you find that you're passing your stool more often than you normally would, it's very important that you get yourself on some rehydration fluid. I don't want to call any names here, but you could drink water, and there are other things with electrolyte that you could consume. But if you find that you are going too often, make sure you're up on over to the doctor. Another thing with typhoid, other than the diarrhea, comes vomiting. So the topical things here is going to be fever, rash, diarrhea, vomiting, pain on the inside, which is caused by the ulcer. And this will come somewhere about 2 weeks after you would have picked up the bacterium. Now, remember, you could acquire it via contaminated food or from water that has been contaminated. All right? All right? So I think that Paul is asking about prophylaxis. It's somewhere up there if you go up in the chat. Now, treatment. We could treat typhoid with antibiotic. Hold one bit. Remember, the only reason we can treat typhoid with antibiotic is because it is caused by a bacteria. So don't go around and say because the person is sick, I can give them antibiotic. No, 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 no. Please be reminded, antibiotic is used to treat bacterial infection. Another thing I wanted you to take away from that, which I did just now, is signs and symptoms. I continue to nail drive these in. Now, symptoms, the patient will tell you about the symptoms. Signs, you'll be able to detect them. All right? So signs, you can see them or detect them, but symptom, the patient will have to tell you about it. I'm feeling a pain on the inside. I'm feeling dizzy. Those are symptoms. All right, but if you're seeing a rash, of course, that is a sign. So we could use antibiotic to treat the typhoid. We could use an active program of immunization, and this, of course, would be an example of using the prophylaxis. All right, so if you have an immunization campaign, that's a good way to explain prophylaxis, because prophylaxis is pretty much treatment given or action taken to prevent a disease. So immunization is an example of prophylaxis. All right? Good. Now, another thing that we need to do, if we find that there is typhoid at school or in our community, we might need to do some trace, as they're doing with COVID now. We want to trace what I want to call the infected path and not the infected person, because the infected path would mean that this person would have passed here, passed there, went to this point, saw Miss Jane, saw Mr. Rufus, and so on. We want to trail that path and check those persons to see if they have been infected. Now, the dreaded thing about typhoid, as it were in genetics, there are some persons that we refer to as carriers. There are some persons that we refer to as carriers. They have the disease and they don't know that they are suffering from the disease. Oh no, they don't. However, they are able to pass the disease from themselves to another or to water or wherever. If you saw the paper I sent out today, and there was a question on it about pit latrine, and there was a pit latrine that was filled, and what the fellow wanted to do was he wanted to use the sewage, so to speak, as fertilizer. And many mad things happen. You don't want this to happen. Now, if the person is a carrier, then the person will appear healthy. However, the person can pass on the infection to somebody else. Another thing that we want to do, other than tracing and looking for carrier, is to isolate individuals who might be suffering from typhoid. Why? We really don't want the typhoid to spread to other persons. No, we don't want a nation of sick people. All right, we want healthy individuals. Now, prevention, proper sewage disposal. Do not toss that fuel, do not dispose of the sewage on land or open land, as I would have said in that paper I did today, or do not release that raw sewage in the river or that lake or that pond close to you because nobody's looking. Don't do that. All right? Proper water purification. Now, usually after storm, usually for many reasons. Sometimes it's because the volume of water would have gone down for summer. The water is not as safe as it used to be. A very simple way to purify water at home is to boil the water. If you don't have enough fuel to boil the water, you can use some chlorinated tablet or some bleach to tip into the water. And to get the proportion for that, you could go to Google, and I'm sure that Google will assist you with the concentration to the volume of water. Another thing is that you must practice proper food hygiene. Yeah, we're looking at hygiene and all of that in one of our session coming up in short order. Wash your hand regularly. If you go to the John, wash your hand. Whatever you're doing that could cause some contamination, wash your hand. All right? Proper food hygiene. If you go to somewhere to fetch yourself something to eat and you realize that the security there, the major security there is flies, don't purchase there. Move away to somewhere safe because Mr. Wilson can't fly around the Caribbean to look for everyone. So if you go to purchase food and you realize that you're about to be arrested by flies, leave it. Don't listen to what they have to say. The common thing that is said is that it is fly season and I don't know what happened to these flies. Put measures in place to get rid of them. Do not prepare my food in such a condition where flies are telling you where to put what and what not to put where, because that could mean your life. Another thing that we could do to safeguard ourselves against typhoid is to ensure that we destroy flies and their breeding site. Let me just talk a little bit about this. Can someone censor email? All right, cool. Amoy, could you just post my email address for me, please? All right. So there are some persons who are doing it on land. And when you do it on land, then what happens is you have the flies that will perch and lay their eggs, and the fly and the eggs will hatch, and then we have a lot of flies going around. And there are some persons, there's a little dog that got hit by a motor car or an animal that would have completed its natural life cycle. Rather than to bury the animal, persons just toss it somewhere that they will not smell it. And what they're doing is pretty much making problems for themselves. If the animal has passed, bury it. Practice proper sewage management at home. If you know that this is a community or a family or whatever, and you are in doubt, don't drink any water there. You have a lot of water on the market in plastic bag and bottle and whatever. If they are not from a reputable source, do not purchase them. Don't. All right? Don't. So one nice thing is that wherever you are going, make sure you take your drinking water with you. You can live without food for a little time, but you can't live without water for very long. So we have looked at typhoid, and our next disease is going to be cholera. I do hope that you learned a thing or two from typhoid, and you realize that a vector here that we're supposed to be mindful of is the housefly. And another thing that we need to be mindful of is water. Remember, the fly doesn't have to pitch on the food, The fly could actually fly over and you're affected. All right. And we're going to see that when we look at the housefly as a vector. But whether the fly is pitching on the food, oh, they run the fly. The fly didn't pitch on the food, so you're fine. No, you might not be fine. You might be on your way to the nice casket that you saw through that glass window. All right? So stay away from areas that they fail to practice proper hygiene. Remember, prevention is the best cure. We're going to be looking at cholera now. Some of these diseases, I heard of them as kids. I've not gone in depth looking at them. One of them that really touched me as a child growing up was polio. Polio was such a disease that was even songs made of polio back in the days. The one poliomyelitis and the one diabetes. Yeah, I think you could find these on YouTube. They were really, really such a problem back then. And I think the World Health Organization, with its many missions, would have done an awesome job for us to rid the place or get rid of it from many areas. There might be some places with a little polio or a little cholera, but it is not like it used to be. All right, and you wouldn't believe that it's a waterborne problem that would have caused a disease like poliomyelitis. But we're going to be looking at that later in the lesson. Now we're going to be looking at cholera. So cholera, Anna is right next door, all right? So cholera, the causative agent, again, it is of course the bacterium. And we might have seen in our book bacterium uh, vibrio or vibrio. And what that means is that it is curved. All right. So we might see vibrio cholerae. Vibrio cholerae, which is of course the bacterium that causes cholera. Now, again, like typhoid, it is associated with water. Drinking untreated water that is, of course, affected or that was contaminated by feces, that could be your major problem. Just like typhoid, the food you eat could be contaminated. Pretty much it's the same way that you would acquire cholera as you would typhoid, just that for cholera, the name of the bacterium is different. Now, the mode of action for cholera or for Vibrio cholerae, the mode of action for Vibrio cholerae is that the incubation period is pretty much about 6 days, not 2 weeks like typhoid, right? And what will happen is that the bacterium that is within you, having died in the intestine, it is pretty much the bacteria is pretty much released. It releases toxin in the small intestine, and this happens as a result of the bacteria dying inside of you. Now, when it releases this toxin, what is likely to happen is that you will have diarrhea. And wherever there is diarrhea, it will follow by dehydration if a person is not rehydrated. All right. Now, the treatment and some of the signs and symptoms are pretty much going to be similar to those of typhoid. You want to ensure that you have rehydration fluid. Of course, we said bacteria. So if it's bacteria, it can be treated by antibiotic, and the antibiotic will kill the bacteria. Now, a prophylaxis is, of course, going to be immunization again. We spoke about immunization earlier, but when you immunize, that's a good prophylaxis because it will, of course, prevent the disease. Antibiotic, we can't overemphasize. Immunization, we can't overemphasize. Trace the infected path, and of course, you can provide treatment to persons who might be on that part. All right, you could provide treatment. Another thing is that we have to look for those carriers. And once we would have found the carriers, we have to treat with them how they should be treated with. If they are ill, we deal with that. If they are well, then we probably want to isolate them for another time. But with cholera, isolation is also a topic to discuss. Persons who are affected, we want to isolate them because we really don't want this bacteria to spread and cause more disease, cause more persons to be infected. Now, those persons who are in close contact with a person that is suffering from cholera, we usually give them tetracycline. So they are given tetracycline so as to prevent the disease from, should I say, blossoming or balloon, prevent the disease from spreading or the person being affected even more by the disease. So they are given tetracycline. Now, the time when we are most likely to see persons affected by cholera is usually after disaster. And I think on the 2020 paper that I put out, I think this exact question was asked about what could have caused the cholera outbreak or some waterborne disease. I don't remember which one it was. You can see my 2020 paper too, and I think I did answer it there. I don't remember what the question was. Now, proper disposal of sewage is also important, right? Do not release it in the water bodies. Do not throw it on the land. Do not parachute and throw it over in the gully. Those things will affect you. Practice proper food hygiene, sanitation. Remember that you can, of course, purify your water by boiling the water, one, and you could also purify the water by adding chlorine tablets. I don't know where you get chlorine tablets to buy. Can anybody tell me where you get that to buy? I really don't know. I don't even know if it is sold, but usually we hear about chlorine tablet. For me, it is going to be bleach. Add some bleach to the water. But I know that persons who live in rural areas where there's a lot of tank and so on, they tend to have chlorine tablets. And persons who don't have those tablets, their kids tend to suffer from a whole lot of worms. I have seen that, and it's not a pretty sign. All right. But if you know where chlorine tablets can be had, share it with me because I really don't know. I'm sorry. And I didn't even think about it until now. All right. We're going to be looking now at poliomyelitis, and we're going very fast. We're going to be looking at poliomyelitis. Now, of all these diseases, yes, I've heard about typhoid. Yes, I've heard about cholera. But I have seen the effect of poliomyelitis where persons are wearing metal shaft on the leg, where persons are wearing what is it called, a lunge or something from the neck down to assist them in breathing. Yeah, I have seen that. And maybe iPro, iPro is a farm store here in Jamaica. So I'm more saying probably you could get it at a farm store. Probably, I don't know. If you don't get it at the farm store, check the pharmacy and they should be able to tell you where you can get this. It might be wise to have a little piece at home. I don't know because the weather pattern is changing so rapid. We really don't know what would happen. Typhoid, yes, sir, it is very helpful. All right, right, iron. All right, good. So there we go. Amoy. Now take off the S off it for me. Amoy. Good. So with poliomyelitis, it is also called infantile paralysis. Why? This disease really affects children before it affects anyone. So we have infantile paralysis or poliomyelitis. Now, the two things we spoke about just now, typhoid. What? Anna is telling me something over here. Yes? You want to say hi? Come and say hi. All right, okay. Anna wants to say hi. All right. Say hi. Say hi and bye. Say hi. Say hi. Say hi. They're hearing you. You can't see them. They can see you, man. They're talking right here. All right. Say bye bye now. Nice boy. All right. Later. All right. That's to the phone. To the phone. To the phone. All right. Great. So Anna, I came by and said hi just now. It pops in every now and then to say hi, and I'm a better teacher than Daddy. So just give me some time in this class because I will do it for you, Dad. All right. So we spoke about cholera and we spoke about typhoid. I would say that cholera and typhoid, they are both caused by a bacterium, or one might say bacteria. All right. Hi, Cheryl. All right. So poliomyelitis, on the other hand, is not caused by a bacterium or bacteria. It is caused by a virus. It is caused by a virus. Remember, we spoke about influenza, and we spoke about AIDS, and we spoke about COVID. Virus. All right, so the causative agent here is going to be a virus, and this again can be caused. You could acquire it from infected water that has been exposed to feces that was contaminated, or feces that has this virus in it. All right, you could also acquire poliomyelitis from infected milk. You would have heard about, I think I did this in one of those lessons I sent out about milk, pasteurization of the milk. All right, so you want to ensure that when you get the milk, if you boil the milk, it tends to damage the taste. So I think it's about 63 degrees Celsius thereabout you want to eat the milk too. But you want to ensure that wherever you are getting the milk, add some heat to it for me now. I know a lot of person will just milk the cattle, and having milk the cattle, they will just drink the milk because it's their cattle and it is safe and all of that. But one thing we need to remember, there's a lot of things we can't see with the naked eye. We can't see bacteria with the naked eye. We can see a colony probably, and we can't see viruses with the naked eye. And as such, we need to practice proper food hygiene, proper personal hygiene, and I'll be doing some lessons on those because I really don't want to scare you. But now more than ever, we see the importance of washing our hands and making sure that we do some of the little things that we learned at kindergarten just to stay safe. All I needed to learn, I learned at kindergarten. I know that there's a poem. I think that's the name of the poem. You could go and read it and see how many things that we have forgotten since we left kindergarten. So the causative agent here is going to be a virus, and usually we can find it in infected water, we could find it in milk, and these are usually contaminated by feces. Now, the virus tend to attack, in some cases, the spinal cord. And when it does affect the spinal cord, it will cause the individual to become crippled. Can't walk. Can't walk. Can you imagine that? You went out, you fetch yourself some water or you fetch yourself some milk, only to find out later that you can't walk because you drank some water or because you had a cup of milk. Be careful. Proper food hygiene. It's very important. I'm hoping that I'm scaring you as I am scared myself, right? So it could affect the spinal cord, and if it does, it is going to cause a person to become crippled in the legs. But it doesn't only affect the spinal cord, it could also affect what that which we call the cranial nerves. And when it does, it is going to, of course, affect breathing, the muscles that control breathing, intercostal muscle, diaphragm, all of that. If it affects the cranial nerves, it will affect these muscles, and in affecting these muscles, the person will have difficulty breathing. Now, if a person has difficulty breathing, then the person will have to wear that lung, which is placed from the neck down, and it will assist the person in breathing. Now, one way to treat with this is like we have been saying, proper water purification, proper hygiene. I tell you something, sometimes I feel bad and I don't want to hit anybody and I don't know what persons are doing, but we have to be careful. There are some guys, I saw this video on TikTok, somebody selling some donut and the person had a little food box. I don't know where the water came from in the food box, but the video told us that it was dirty water, and this person was using this to wipe off the donut box. And if you understand donut, it is something that you're going to hold the box. You probably wash your hands, so you got the donut box and your hand is clean. But the pathogen is on the donut box. And then you pop the donut box open with the hand that you think is clean, pop out a donut, and there you go. I'm afraid to purchase anything on the road. I used to be the fellow who eat a lot of peanut and cane on the road. And then I found out recently that when I eat those stuff from the road, I'm having this chest pain. And it took me a little while. I was wondering, what's with this chest pain? I don't know what's happening. And I just stopped eating some cane sometime. I don't know why I didn't eat the cane. And then I went back and I purchased cane at that spot. And then I realized the chest pain was back. And I'm like, oh, this is a direct correlation. When I eat the cane, I have a chest pain. Something is wrong. And I just stop eating the cane, chest pain gone. So then that was with sugar cane. But then I purchased some peanut, from the little peanut guys. And then I realized I didn't even know that peanut could have affected me because I thought that the sugar content of the peanut would have dealt with the pathogen. And again, I had chest pain, so I just don't deal with those fla, as they call it, on the road. I am really, really afraid. I go on the road sometime, and when I'm back, my fiance will ask, you had anything to eat on the road? No, I really don't want to eat on the road. When I get home, I'll eat. All right, because at least I want to come back home with my life. I really don't want to come back home hungry, but I prefer coming home hungry with my life. And probably you should try that as well. You get a polio vaccine as early as 4 years old. So that is what we refer to as a prophylaxis, where you are immunized for the polio. So that is one of the reasons why we are not seeing the prevalence of polio anymore, because we are getting the polio vaccine, and this polio vaccine is pretty much acting as a prophylaxis, which pretty much prevents the infection or prevent us being affected by the polio. So the polio vaccine is good. Make sure that you do water prevention. And as we talk about vaccine, I think COVID is one of those topical things that persons are saying, I don't want to get that thing from, I don't want to get that COVID vaccine because they are doing this and they are doing that. Sir, I sent it to your email. Okay, beautiful. Because this and because that. Let me tell you something. I am not going to stay here and be a hypocrite. I don't know what they are doing. I don't know what it is. But it's up to you and the medical professionals to advise you because Mr. Wilson don't have the answer. And I understand the scare, I understand the fear that a lot of persons have, and this could have been associated with the Tuskegee experiment or the experiment or what happened with the Red Indians. I don't know. So I can't tell you. But what I can tell you is that we continue to get BCG and all of those immunization shot growing up, and they would have helped us so that we are here now and we are not suffering from a whole lot of stuff. Amar could tell us all of those stuff that we get the BCG for. I really don't remember, right? That long list of things that we continue to get this vaccination for in order for us to build up some amount of immunity. It's a long list of stuff, and I am sure that Amoy and the others will share that with you. But I am happy that poliomyelitis is not here. But we can't say that typhoid and cholera is all out. Cholera has been such a bad thing in Jamaica that there's even a place in Jamaica, I don't know where, called Cholera Cemetery, which means that it's only persons who died from cholera, they buried there. But I think it's not so grave anymore because the advent of technology, we're able to rid ourselves of cholera. The next thing I want to look at is dysentery. Dysentery. And we might have protozoan dysentery, which is caused by the entamoeba, or we could have dysentery that is caused by bacteria. And with this one is called Shigella bacteria. So there are two different types of dysentery I'm talking about now, and the effect is pretty much going to be the same thing. Now, when we talk about agent, typhoid and cholera, they are bacteria or bacterium. Poliomyelitis is caused by virus, right? And all is associated with feces, contaminated food, contaminated water. Now we are looking at dysentery, and dysentery is caused by a protozoa, or one might say protozoan, right? So all of these are causative agents. Now, when this, we have the protozoan, and we spoke about the bacteria. When this happens, the person have, in our local term, we call it running belly or diarrhea. All right. So it is pretty much associated with infected food. And again, somebody or the organism name that is popular around dysentery, it is the house fly. All of the stuff that we have spoken about so far, we talk about the house fly, we spoke about the feces. These are popular. The house fly is popular among all the diseases that we have spoken about just now. The waterborne diseases and feces is also big on the list. Now, children tend to transfer the bacilli from the anus to their mouth. As they scratch, kids tend to scratch, play with everything, and then put the hand in the mouth. They tend to transfer it like that. Now, like I said, it causes diarrhea and stomach pain. And in some cases, you have to go to the doctor to rid yourself of that. You might be given medication or rehydration fluid. Good. So we spoke about, and I continue to emphasize, we spoke about bacteria, we spoke about virus, we spoke about protozoa. That's 3 different causative agents. Now we're going to be looking at worms, right? Now it's long in coming since we spoke about worms, and a lot of persons could not associate worms being a disease or a pathogenic organism. But now we're going to be looking at the hookworm. I don't know if you're from Jamaica, you probably would have heard your parents say, you're acting like you have hookworm or one of the roundworms or something like that. If you did classification in biology, you would have looked at the many types of worm, segmented worm, flat worm, roundworm, that type of thing. And some of these would have been familiar to you from your early biology class. Now, the hookworm, the difference here is that, of course, it is acquired from being in infected water. There, the larvae of the hookworm is able to penetrate the skin. And that is one of the reasons that you will be told that you are supposed to wear shoes or wear slippers on the outside, or you're not supposed to walk barefooted and all of that thing, because the larvae could just penetrate the skin. Now, when you become affected by the hookworm, this big worm, what it's going to do is it's going to latch itself onto your intestine. And when it does that, it's pretty much feeding from your intestine. While it feeds from your intestine, what is likely to happen is that you might suffer from a severe case of anemia. A severe case of anemia. The many things that we've spoken about that causes anemia, it's amazing. So you might be suffering from a severe case of anemia. The beautiful thing about the worm is that you could take what we tend to call worm medicine or drugs. If you observe, I'm using drugs now and not antibiotic, because I'm not talking about bacteria. I'm talking about worm. So here with some person would say worm medicine, and they have many different names, or we could say drugs. And what will happen once we take this medicine and it is at its right proportion or its right concentration, what will happen? It will cause the hookworm to release that latch, release that hold onto the intestine, onto the walls of the intestine. And what will happen is that this hookworm will be passed out into the feces. I don't think it's a pretty sight. I don't even think that this is the nicest thing to talk about, but it's a part of the syllabus and we have to treat with it. So it will be passed out in the feces. Now, some things that we need to do is to avoid water that is pretty much contaminated by the larvae or by the eggs, or just avoid those settings. And again, proper disposal of feces, and of course, proper water purification. Don't just jump into any water that you see. Might not be the best thing. Might not be the best thing, because the truth, the water is flowing, and at times you might see the water looking like really nice and clear. But remember, these things are microscopic, so you might not be able to see them as you would have loved to. We're going to be looking at schistosomiasis. We might have heard about schistosoma. The causative agent here is a flatworm. So the causative agent here is a flatworm. You would have known about flatworm as being the tapeworm, but we're now talking about what we refer to as a blood fluke. We're talking about the blood fluke. And the thing about it is that the larval stage of the blood fluke pretty much stays within a snail. And the snail here is called the intermediate host, because it will, of course, be passed from the snail in the water to human. Now, it's the adult stage of the schistosoma that lives within the human. Now, the larva from the snail is able to penetrate the skin of human, pretty much like it were with the hookworm. Now, the adult will lay eggs, which passes through the intestinal wall, and will causes blood to appear in the feces. Spell that word. Okay, just one bit. Schistosomasis. Schistosomasis. Let me go again. Schistosomasis. All right? That's one that we need to look at. All right, the treatment, we can take drugs for this one. I'm not telling you to take coke or heroin. We're talking about prescribed drugs. Proper sewage disposal, and avoid contaminated water. Proper water purification is also important. And if we get rid of the water snail, which is so sad to say, get rid of the water snail, because when we do, we're going to be affecting the ecosystem or the food chain. I'm an environmentalist, so of course that is going to say something to me. But if the water is infected, we have to find a way to treat and probably get rid of those snails that we really don't pass on this pathogen to humans, so that life expectancy is reduced, broken family, then we have social ill, and then our population just start dwindling. We really don't want to have that. Now, the nice thing about it, it is not so common in the Caribbean. Yes, it can. Yes, it can. All right. Not so, I'm answering to Powell there. It is not so common in the Caribbean, but there are still some areas of concern. Now, we have the Dominican Republic, just one of many. We have Antigua, just one of many. We have Guadeloupe, that's one of many. We have St. Lucia, that's one of many. And this list is not exhaustive. We could go on and on. So we have to ensure that we are cognizant of this, we're aware of this. Make sure that you remember these. I'm trying to make the videos very, very short now so that you can, of course, watch them at a very short stint. So that takes us to the end of our lesson for today. We looked at waterborne diseases, and those that we looked at included typhoid, cholera, poliomyelitis. We looked at hookworm. We looked at schistosomiasis. We also looked at dysentery. We looked at gastroenteritis. Did we look at gastroenteritis? Did we look at gastroenteritis? We're out of time though, but if we didn't, I will just catch up on that. I don't think we did. If we didn't, I'll just catch up on that. However, in our next class, we are going to be looking at, let me tell you what we do for our next class. In our next lesson, we are going to be looking at foodborne diseases and vector-related disease. And we will look at, of course, gastroenteritis. Then we are going to be looking at the housefly, its life cycle, and so on. Once we would have completed that, I think we are going to be looking at something else. The syllabus wanted us to look at mosquito. It wanted us to look at housefly. It wants us to look at rats. So we have to look at all of that. And then I'm going to be looking at hygiene, because these are big topics for section D of the syllabus. We're going to be looking at that. But I am hoping that I'll be here for the rest of the week with you. I have some exams doing for school. I have some SBA bookmarking. And the list of stuff that I have, it goes on and on and on. Remember to invite your friends on over. If they don't enjoy what we do here, it makes no sense for them to subscribe. However, if they do enjoy what we do here, we encourage them to subscribe and be a part of the family. Remember to like by clicking that thumbs up, like. Remember to subscribe by clicking that yellow icon at the bottom of the screen there, or just below that you'll have subscribe. Click that notification bell and select all. If you want to find the rest of our mini videos, that blue icon to the left of your video, just below the video here, you will see a blue icon that says CSEC Biology TCP. Click on that icon and it will take you to the back end of the channel where you can see the many playlists and videos that we have there. We have some 200 and odd videos there, and we are growing. We are growing because of you, sir. So when we get the general topic, will you review those topics? Most certainly, sir. The Ministry of Education said that June 30 is the due day for SBA. Which of the Ministry of Education is that? Just help me here. I asked my exam coordinator last week, when is the deadline? He told me that the deadline for SBA, that is for CSEC, is the 15th of May. So if that is true, I don't know. I'll have to check the CXC website to see what's there. But that's what he told me. But I know in the document that CXC had put out, they had said 1 month extension, and 1 month extension would have been the last day in April. Let me see what's here. So I don't know. I can't speak to that. I pray he does. I missed some classes. Okay. Practical subjects, so I guess labs too. Okay. But when it comes to lab, let me just treat it what's on screen. You could ask your questions now. All right, practical subject. Paul, which country you from? All right. Amoy, please send the email. Amoy, are you still with us? Sir, say it on the general. It's on the general on Friday. I don't know what's that. Paul, I don't know what you're saying there, sir. Oh, saw it on the on the Gleaner on Friday. Okay, I need to get my glasses. Which Gleaner? We don't know which Gleaner it was. I love to find the content. I don't propagate information unless I have the facts. All right. Uh, thank you, sir. I'm going to look for the past papers. All right, please look for the past paper. Whatever past paper you have, even if we have them again, it's fine. We look at them and see if we can put out as many past paper to help you guys. All right. They said practicals for June. I really don't understand what's been said there. Practical subjects for June. Oh, Powell, it's in the Jamaica paper. Which paper? Today, which paper? Okay, Jamaica Gleaner. Okay, well, I don't know. I could check the Gleaner if you tell me which Gleaner it is. And of course, uh, I could tell you, but I don't know. My exam coordinator at work told me that I have until the 15th. That would be very, very sad to know that persons could have had their lab books and making correction, and I would have collected the books already. So I am going to revisit that. But if the Gleaner is saying that, then I'm thinking that CXC should have a publication on their website. But I didn't see anything on their website to suggest that, but I can't say. I love to see the Gleaner because the Gleaner is a reputable paper here in Jamaica. So if I were supposed to see the Gleaner, then I'd be able to answer that question to say when is the deadline. But I don't know. I really don't know. I'm very sorry. I was told, and like I said, I was told my exam coordinator could tell me anything. All right, so I'm trying to find something somebody asked. A lot this evening. Thanks for the information. All right, good. You want to put that in the comments below, Felix. Powell, sir, I saw it on the Gleaner on Friday, or it was in the Gleaner on Friday. You can go on IG and type in Gleaner. I don't even know how to use Instagram. All right. Good night, everyone. I don't know how to use IG. Sorry. Send me a link to it somewhere. Get the link and post it now that we can all look at it. I am very sorry. I am not so all over social media. I am a rookie when it comes to social media. Uh, don't take my exploits on YouTube to be the same for social media for all the social media platform. It is not. I'm going to give you the email address in a bit. It is actually Extreme Solution. It's an email address that we should be changing soon to make it the name of the channel, because every time persons ask for the email address, we have to give you something else. We want it to be the name of the channel. We want it to be TCP. All right, so you ask for the email address. This is the email address that we are using now. So if you need to send us something, you send us there. So that's the email address. Please ensure that you pay attention to the spelling and not send it somewhere else. Sir, I saw, okay. You can go, okay. All right. All right. Great. All right. So we are just 8 minutes in. If there are no further questions, we are going to be meeting hopefully Wednesday. But because I am preparing everyone, if you see me send out something for a live and it is not on one of the scheduled day, just up on over, right? And just make we do the thing. Because what I'll be doing is just to push the thing harder. Probably I really don't have much to do that even. And I just say, okay, let's have a show. So you just invite everyone over, get yourself something to drink and something to bite on, and I'll try to keep the show for an hour. I was about to talk about, as it were, for labs, as I'm seeing somebody asking about labs. I would have done all the labs that CXC said that you're supposed to do. They are on my channel. Go to Biology Experiment on the back end. It's a playlist. And you see all the labs. So if you're an independent candidate, don't expect me to go through labs because they are all on my channel. The videos are all on my channel. I have slowed down these labs. I've written animation. There's just one lab that I'm working on the animation that I have all the pieces together. I just need to put it in now, and that is the animation for non-reducing sugar. But outside of non-reducing sugar, including the field work with the quadrant, I have an animation on the channel for that. So persons who are asking for things like that, it suggests that you are not a subscriber, you have not clicked the notification bell, so you really don't know what is happening on the channel. There are persons who are asking me to make videos that are on the channel. You're sending me, sir, can you make a video on that? The video is on the channel. So what we need to do, we need to comb the channel to see if we can find what we want. There are several playlists. Check to see if it is there. Because if you ask me to do something and it is already there, first thing it says to me, but you are not a subscriber. You really don't know what's happening because you wouldn't be asking me that. There are cases where persons are asking for a video like tomorrow for a live that I have done today or last week. Please check the videos, listen to the videos. All right. And if you want me to put out more description, go to the transcript, look for what you want. I show you how to access the transcript. All right, bye-bye. No, I don't teach accounts. I am solely science and I do a little bit of IT, but I do like agri, biology, human and social biology. And I don't want to say other things because when I talk the amount of things that I can do, I just find myself doing them and not being paid for them. All right. So I can't teach everything. No, I'm not an account teacher. I've been to accounts class one single time in my life. I went to accounts class and the teacher did not come back after that day because she was sick. And I've never been to another accounts class since then. Never. So I don't know anything about accounts. Sorry. All right, go and read now. I'm going to do some work, some schoolwork. All right, yeah, it might be, yeah, some schoolwork. I'm going to do schoolwork. Yeah, today is Sunday, but I'm going to do schoolwork. Hi, Shakila. How are you? You are probably late. Shakila, they told me that the SBAs are due sometime way down in June, and they said it was in the Friday Gleaner. Do you know anything about that? Call your classmates, and if you know anything about that, tell me so that we can. I wanted to correct your books and allow you to have them tomorrow, if not tomorrow, by Tuesday thereabout. But I'm going to be correcting the books. I'm going to be calling you guys back in, so probably you guys need to add my number to your chat group so that we can have that. I do hope that you guys are doing the multiple choice papers. And yes, you are going to be getting some paper too. I already have the 2021 paper two worked out. But I started sending out some HSB stuff, and then you are going to get yours. So I encourage you to go through all the multiple choice papers that you have so far on the channel or wherever you can get them. And please do not hide behind any COVID thing and you never used to go to class and all of that, because I have covered the entire syllabus probably for the first time. So thanks to COVID, I've been able to cover the entire syllabus using technology. And you can go there and watch the videos however many times. I was looking at the live today, and what I realized is that after we would have completed class, we don't go there and watch the lives. So it's like I can delete them, which I will remove them soon. I'm just waiting until the exam. After the exam, you won't be able to see any of those lives. All right, so I suggest that you make use of them now. All right, thank you guys. Kevin, where did you find that information? So how you find the information, you don't send it to me, Kevin? Kevin, where you found the information? Tell me. And Kevin, though you guys, this room was actually created for you guys. When we get those broad topics come next week, we are going to be having some extra classes here because I really want some ones. So we're putting in a lot of work. Somebody had asked me for paper 3 We did work a paper 3, though it's not out yet. Yeah, but we have a paper 3 that is all worked and ready to come on the road. As it were for graph, if I have the time, I'll definitely put some work in on graph and see if I can send you something pretty soon. Hi, Chantel Brown. Hi, how you doing? If I've never seen this name before, you're new. Thanks for joining the family. Please be reminded to like, share, and of course, subscribe. Subscribe only if you like what we do here. If you don't like what we do here, don't bother yourself. But if you enjoy what we do here, subscribe. All right? Cool. All right, anybody else? Kevin, I'm waiting on you, Send me a link now or something. Copy a link and paste it in the chat here so that I can get it. And of course, treat with it. I have seen the many petition for those persons who are just coming on. The many petition as to what you're asking CXC to do. But whatever you ask CXC to do, please be reminded that CXC did say that whether you're doing paper 1, paper 2, or paper 1 and 2, the entire syllabus will be tested. Except in the case where they're going to be providing us the broad topic. All right, beautiful, wonderful, but I don't know the name and I tend to know everybody. All right, Kevin, sir, could you repeat? Kevin, I wanted you to tell me where you got that information about the SBA being due the 30th of June. Because I'm not going to, I know that I haven't looked at all the books, but I know that some persons didn't do a job. So I'd love to know that I afford everybody the opportunity to ace the labs. All right, so I don't want to be having persons book when you could have it too, or I could work with you in acing these labs. Because I was told that your labs are due the 15th of this month, and now I'm not being told by a student that the labs are due the 30th. And that is why we have this room that we can have this conversation where we understand what does that mean in Trinidad, what does that mean in Guyana, what does that mean in wherever part of the Caribbean, and we have a common view, a consensus as to how we proceed. We don't really want to be in the dark. Okay, you are in grade 9. Okay, wonderful. So you are a part of the grassroots program. We like that. Welcome to the show. I'm happy that you started your biology so early. So it means that by the time you get to grade 9 at which school? Which school are you, Brown? You dropped out of physics. So who told you at school? Because Mr. Murray told me that the 15th is due. Who told you that, Kevin? I want empirical data. I want data that I can work with. Okay, thanks much, Jennifer. Claremont. Claremont. Oh, Claremont. 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 Is this Claremont as in Linstead, Yuatan, or Claremont as in St. Anne? Oh, is it Charlie Mount? Charlie Mount. Oh, it says Charlie Mount. Sorry. It's Charlie Mount out there in Yuatan, Bagwalk region. Charlie Mount, Yuatan, Bagwalk region, right? Somewhere beside McGrath. Linstead. Okay, cool, cool. I see. Wonderful. Wonderful. I know Lindsay from McGrath. I don't know if I know any teacher from your school. Okay, we're very happy to have you. Really, really happy. You can invite your friends to come on over and make sure that you're looking at the labs because you're going to be doing pretty much the same labs when you get to grade 11. If you go to the playlist, you'll see biology experiment. Those are the SBA labs that you'll be doing. All right, so we've had what 10 minutes, 11 minutes worth of chat. Good evening until we next meet. I don't want to say Wednesday because I'm almost certain that I'll be meeting you before Wednesday. Okay, how do we write a lab report? We have it on the channel. You could just go. Do you know how to access my channel? We have everything about labs. We have lab report, we have mark scheme, we have everything. All right, tell you what, I'm going to do you a favor. Being that you're new, I'm going to find a lab report and I am going to just send you the link for the lab report and you can follow. I think we have a lab report that is doing very, very well. I think it's diffusion. I think it has about 2,000-3,000 subscribers. All right, give me 1 second and let me search for it for you. Trying to find a lab report for a grade 9 student. Everything, all lab skills, everything you need to know about labs, they are on the channel. So if you're able to use the channel, if you look below the video, you see a blue icon that says CSEC Biology TCP. If you are supposed to click on that, it will take you to the back end of the channel. And when you get to the back end of the channel, then you can select whichever lab you want to do. Just tell me in the chat which lab you're doing, and I'll try to find that lab and send it to you. My system a little slow. It's a little slow, so forgive me. Which of the lab are you doing? You're in grade 9. Oh, you started your syllabus in grade 9. So are you doing diffusion, osmosis, or photosynthesis? Yeah, just give me a few. I'm just trying to find something for a kid here. All right, so I would have had on the channel how to write the various lab reports. There's something there, an example of planning and design. There is something there on how to write MM lab, you really don't have to write them, but how to write like a ORR lab, how to write AI lab, all that is there on the channel. I'm going to be sending you this, but there are many others that you could go. Probably this is a part of a playlist that you join. I'm going to be sending the link now. The lab is up. So this is a diffusion lab explained and written up. So just give me a second and you'll get it. And you could share this with your classmates. That's fine. All right, so here we go. All right, I know. So we have several labs on the channel on diffusion and osmosis. So just go to the back. Let's go to the back end of the channel. All right, that is our email address. Let's let me try and get this thing for you. I'm not too sure what's happening here. Internet really, really slow. So here you go. Ms. Brown, you can click on that and that will give you an example as to how to write up a lab. What about the non-reducing sugar lab? I'm working on that, but you don't need to work too seriously about that. All that I need to do for that, Shakila, is to ensure that you understand it. All right, so I leave you here until we next meet. Take care.